Welcome to the News on NTA International. I am Ogochukwu Ona, and my sign language interpreter is Shegun Ajayi. Let's begin with the headlines. Aftermath of U.S. threat of military deployment to Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu calls for calm, says Nigerians are safe and secured. Nigerian engineers raise concerns over infrastructure deficit, seeks partnership with federal government. Constitutional Court affirms Ouattara winner of Côte d'Ivoire presidential election. President Bola Tinubu has called for calm among Nigerians, assuring them that his government is taking concrete steps towards ensuring better security of lives and properties of all citizens and residents in the country. The president conveyed this message through the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, and the Presidential Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, who met him in the State House. During the meeting, the Information Minister disclosed that the issue of the U.S. government threat of military action in Nigeria came up. The minister assured Nigerians that the government is already ahead with steps to record greater results in the fight against insecurity.
Of the country, reinvigorated the hierarchy of the armed forces. A new chief of defense staff and other service chiefs were appointed. Now, this is all all the issues that came out of the United States. So that tells you that Mr. President has been working assiduously to ensure that Nigeria is a country that remains safer for all Nigerians to live in. We're looking at all the issues, and we don't want to overheat the discussions, but work is ongoing, and we're also opened channels of communication so that the international community will understand what Nigeria has been doing better, and also what we intend to further do to ensure that whatever concerns there are, either domestically here or from the international community, are answered.
All right, Honorable Minister, you said some steps have been taken, going by what you have just said. Nigerians have been suggesting so many things, including having a dialogue with the religious bodies and all of that, diplomatic means. What precisely is the government doing in this regard?
Well, it's a multiple approach. You know that discussions with the leadership of the religious groups is an ongoing effort. Mr. President has been meeting with them, and of course he will continue to do that. They're all Nigerians, and he is leading them, and so they are of course an important stakeholder in the Nigerian project. So yes, Mr. President will continue to engage with them. Mr. President will continue to engage with the international community, not just the United States, everyone, the regional bodies, the continental bodies, and everyone that we think has a role to play in ensuring that Nigeria succeeds in ridding this country of these criminal elements that are helping the world to drive this narrative so that Nigeria will have a very bad name. And we know that this is not who we are as a country. So for us to be characterized as a country that is not tolerant when it comes to religion is not accurate. This is absolutely false. Nigeria has Muslim and Christian and even those who do not believe in any of these religions. And our constitution guarantees that everyone should practice his faith without let or hindrance, and Mr. President is going to respect that to the letter. So again, yes, we have these security challenges, but nowhere has there been any decision to favor one religion or the other, or to inflict violence over one religion. What has happened is that we have these extremists that are driving this narrative, and the desired outcome for them is to see that this country is divided, and we want to caution Nigerians to look deeper. This is a time for us to reflect on our nationhood, to reflect on our unity, to come together. This is not a time for division, it's not a time for rhetoric, it's not a time for politics. It is a time for nation building, a time for calling for everyone, to come together so that we can continue to have the Nigeria of our dream.
And similarly, the federal government is clarifying that the country's constitution does not allow religious persecution, as being alleged by a portion of the international community. Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tuga made the clarification at a press conference in Germany. Chukunonso Mwabweze reports.
Yusuf Tuga, while responding to questions about U.S. President Donald Trump's warning of potential military action if Nigeria fails to curb the alleged killing of Christians by insurgents at the press conference in Berlin, emphasized that Nigeria's commitment to religious freedom and rule of law as provided in the nation's constitution makes it impossible for any religion to be persecuted under any guise.
This is what guides us. And this is what shows that it's impossible for there to be a religious persecution that can be supported in any way, shape, or form by the government of Nigeria at any level, be it federal, be it regional, be it local. It's impossible. And our laws are there.
Joined by his German counterpart, Tuga warned against any attempt to divide Nigeria along religious lines as he drew parallels with Sudan.
Trying to make the world understand is that we should not create another Sudan. Nigeria has a population of 230 billion souls. It's the largest democracy on the African continent. It's the largest country on the continent. We've seen what has happened with Sudan, with agitations for the partitioning of Sudan based on religion, based on tribal sentiments.
The minister's submission is in line with the federal government's position that no particular faith has been isolated for targeted attacks more than other faiths in the country. Chukunonso Mwabweze, NTN News.
And also, the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Christian Pilgrim Commission, Bishop Stephen Adegbite, says that Christian leaders are working closely with their Muslim counterparts under the Nigeria Inter-Religious Council in fostering peace and mutual understanding among Nigerians. Bishop Adegbite, while reacting to the recent remark by the U.S. President Donald Trump that Christian persecution is taking place in Nigeria and that the United States may take military action. He notes that both faiths have been victims of the insurgents in the past years.
Nigeria is a complex multi-ethnic democracy with more than 220 million citizens and over 250 ethnic nationalities. It is home to Africa's largest Christian and Muslim population living side by side. Any reckless military action or misinformed intervention from abroad could destabilize the entire West Africa sub-region, triggering refugee crisis, economic collapse, and extremist resurgence. Nigeria's sheer population size and its ingenuity of its people means that instability here will ripple far beyond our borders, undermining peace, trade, and democracy across Africa. What we need is a strategic cooperation, not coercion.
All right, China condemns the United States President Donald Trump's designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern for alleged threats to Christian communities, rejecting Washington's threats of sanctions and military action as interference in Nigeria's internal affairs. At a regular press briefing, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning reaffirmed Beijing's support for Nigeria, describing the country as a comprehensive strategic partner. We firmly support the Nigerian government in leading its people along a development path suited to its national conditions. We oppose any country interfering in others' internal affairs under the pretext of religion or human rights, and we oppose reckless threats of sanctions or the use of force, Mao says. And now the Committee of Experts of the African Union Peace and Security is meeting in Abuja to discuss threats to the continent's security. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that the meeting at the National Counter-Terrorism Center in the Office of the National Security Advisor is preparatory to AU's Peace and Security Council.
A committee of experts of the African Union Peace and Security Council meeting in Abuja. The goal, to review threats to security on the continent and advise the Peace and Security Council.
We gather at the time where the continent is in serious challenges. These challenges demand a renewed collective commitment of this critical committee. Your role to guide and advise on African-led responses is strategic and need to be coordinated and adapted to local realities.
Terrorism, armed conflicts, transnational crime, political instability and military coups remain threats to security on the continent.
The government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria remains deeply committed to the war against terrorism and to advancing the cause of peace and security on the African continent. This commitment was further demonstrated during the high-level African Counterterrorism Summit held in Abuja in April 2024.
The outcome of the meeting is expected to shape the decisions of the Peace and Security Council, the standby decision-making body of the African Union, responsible for management and resolution of conflicts on the continent. The forum also seeks to strengthen strategic security networks among the AU experts in view of the dynamic nature of the emerging threats in the African continent. From the National Counter-Terrorism Center here in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Vice President Kashim Shettima has departed Abuja for Brazil to represent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the 30th session of the United Nations Climate Change Conference, tagged COP30, scheduled to hold in the South American country. The summit, convened by Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, in collaboration with other partners, will hold from 6th to 7th November in the city of Belém, capital of the state of Pará, in the Brazilian Amazon. Vice President Shettima is billed to join other world leaders, development partners and business executives at the event themed Climate Action and Implementation, with a strong focus on adaptation, forests, biodiversity and climate justice. On the first day of engagements in Belém, Vice President Shettima will attend the General Plenary of Leaders, where he is expected to present Nigeria's Climate Action Address. He will also take part in the launch of the Tropical Forest Forever Fund and participate in a roundtable chaired by President Lula on climate and nature before attending an Amazonian cocktail for heads of delegation hosted by the President of Brazil. On the second day of the summit, Vice President Shettima will participate in two roundtables chaired by President Lula on energy transition, as well as the review of the Paris Agreement, with a focus on nationally determined contributions and financing. At the conclusion of his engagements, the Nigerian Vice President will proceed to the city of Brasilia for a reciprocal visit to his Brazilian counterpart, Vice President Geraldo Alckmin, who had embarked on a historic three-day visit to Nigeria earlier in June. In the city of Brasilia, VP Shettima, accompanied by top Nigerian government officials, will engage with his Brazilian counterpart to further deepen Nigeria's South-South diplomatic ties. The Vice President is expected back in Nigeria at the end of his engagements in Brazil. Now, Nigeria and Hungary have signed a memorandum of understanding to strengthen cooperation in water management, innovation, and climate resilience. Usman Zubair reports that the agreement sealed between the Budapest University of Technology and Economics and Nigeria's National Water Resources Institute, Kaduna, was one of the major highlights of the Nigeria-Hungary Water Forum held in Abuja.
The Budapest University of Technology and Economics and Nigeria's National Water Resources Institute, Kaduna, have taken these vital steps towards enhancing technical capacity and driving innovation in Nigeria's water sector. This partnership will promote advanced training for Nigerian engineers, support joint research on water security and climate adaptation, and encourage knowledge exchange in flood control and basin management. Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Usef, highlighted that the forum presents a unique opportunity to elevate Hungary's visibility within Nigeria's water sector while opening a new pathways for public-private partnership, direct investment, and joint ventures in water treatment, irrigation, and digital water management. He emphasized that Hungary's expertise in water engineering, wastewater treatment, and flood management would help modernize Nigeria's water infrastructure.
This will also aligns with Nigerians' objective to transform the water sector into a catalyst for economic diversification, food security, industrialization, and climate action.
Hungary's ambassador to Nigeria described the forum as a milestone in bilateral relations and reaffirmed his country's readiness to share its technology and experience with Nigeria. He said Hungary's strong engineering tradition and advanced water infrastructure made it a reliable partner in Nigeria's effort to reform its water sector.
Hungary stands ready to share its knowledge in flood management, urban water supply and sanitation infrastructure, as well as in training and research.
The Nigeria-Hungary Water Forum brought together government officials, engineers, and researchers to explore partnership in sustainable water management and technological innovation. Featured technical sessions, presentation of flood control, rural water supply, and climate adaptation strategies from various agencies and academic institutions. Usman Zberu, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. It's time to take a break. More reports when we return. Please stay tuned.
You have no better friend and partner than Nigeria. Let this unveiling today be a call to conscience. Let our practitioners hold the line of truth. To the media, please inform with integrity and with a deep sense of patriotism. To our public officers, communicate with transparency. To citizens, please let us speak with empathy. Let us come together to become the voice of responsibility, the voice of the world that heals division, that inspires hope and drives development.
Thank you for staying tuned. Côte d'Ivoire's Constitutional Council on Tuesday confirmed the re-election of President Alassane Ouattara for a fourth term by a 89.77% landslide in a vote his main rivals were barred from. The Constitutional Council's president, Chantal Nanaba Kamara, at a press conference in Abuja, declared that Alassane Ouattara has been elected in the first round as President of the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire. She stated that the court had not received any complaints, adding that examination of the official reports reveals no irregularities that could undermine the integrity of the election or affect the results. Ouattara, 83, won the West African country's October 25th ballots with the opposition's top two candidates, ex-President Laurent Gbagbo and former Credit Suisse banker Tidjane Thiam, both prevented from running by the courts. The opposition has frequently accused the authorities of leaning on the courts to bar Thiam and Gbagbo, the first ever nationality issues, and the second over a criminal conviction. The government insists that the judiciary acted independently. In a post on X Tuesday, Ouattara thanked Ivorian voters for their renewed confidence in him. And our President Bola Tinubu this Tuesday received the Archbishop of Abuja Catholic Diocese, Most Reverend Ignatius Kaigama, in the State House. The meeting between the President and the religious leader, an interpersonal consultation, lasted about 40 minutes behind closed doors. Although details of the meeting were not made public, the consultation came at a time some quarters are alleging religious persecution in the country. State House correspondent Musbah Odan Wahab reports that President Bola Tinubu has at different fora affirmed his government's respect for the Constitution, which guarantees rights of every Nigerian to choose and practice any religion freely. The federal government, the Federal High Court has again adjourned the terrorism trial against Nnamdi Kanu to the 5th of November 2025 for the defendant to enter his defense. Judiciary correspondent Austin Anyebe reports that this was after the defendant declined to enter his defense, claiming that there is no charge against him under the Nigerian law.
At the resumed trial on Tuesday, the defendant Nnamdi Kanu was asked to open his defense, but he claimed that there is no charge against him, hence there is no need for him to enter his defense. Raising some points from the motion filed in respect of a no case against him, Kanu cited Section 36, subsection 12 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, where he said no one can be convicted of a case where there is no charge preferred against him. He further said that the law upon which he's been tried is a repealed law. Prosecution counsel Adegboyega Awomolu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, contends that the court should take the motion filed as his final written address and proceed to give judgment, that he has replied to all the issues raised by the defendant. But Justice James Omotosho, who chronicled the trial from 2015, maintained that in the interest of justice, both parties have agreed for an accelerated hearing and therefore cannot entertain any preliminary issues at this stage, more so that he had ruled on the earlier no-case submission entered by the defendant. He went further to clarify Section 36, subsection 12 of the Constitution, which the defendant relies upon. He said the provision cited talks about conviction and the case has not gotten to the stage, hence he should consult wisely those who are conversant with criminal prosecutions. He again adjourned the matter till 5th November 2025 for the prosecution to enter his defense. From the Federal High Court, Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NT News.
And still talking judiciary, a Federal High Court presided over by Justice James Omotosho has adjourned to 5th of November 2025 for the defendants, Abba Kyari and two others, to continue with their defense. Let's rejoin correspondent Austin Anyebe.
The federal government filed a 24-count charge against the suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police, Abba Kyari, after uncovering 14 assets linked to him. These assets allegedly linked to the former commander of the intelligence response team include shopping malls, residential estates, polo grounds, lands and farmlands in different locations in the FCT and Maiduguri, Borno states. The prosecution allegedly established that several millions of naira and more than 7,000 pounds were discovered in his various accounts. The Defense Counsel, Onyechi Ikpeazu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, has moved for a no-case submission, but the court ruled that Kyari has a case to answer and should enter his defense. Opening his defense this Tuesday, Abba Kyari, who is the first witness, denied ownership of some of the properties linked to him, saying they belong to his father, as the documents of those properties are with the Ministry of Land in Borno State. He denied ownership of Polo Ground, saying he's surprised that the large expanse of the Polo Ground will be linked to him. Abba Kyari, however, admitted ownership of the farm located along Abuja-Kaduna Road, saying he has been on the farm in the last 1 decade. He equally admitted that he operates accounts with UBA, Access and GT Bank, and that the more than 7,000 pounds in domiciliary account was earlier declared. He is to continue his defense tomorrow. Austin Anyebe, NT News.
Public and private sectors must commit to partnership to address the state of infrastructure deficit in Nigeria with the introduction of cutting-edge technology at all levels. This was part of the resolution of the 47th Annual Conference of the Association of Consulting Engineers. The association believes that a major partnership between government and the various engineering bodies would mitigate the deficit in infrastructure, citing areas such as electricity, artificial intelligence, and other modern technologies. Participants at the conference want a higher commitment to funding by government at all levels to place Nigeria on the path of development.
Challenges. It is about creating actionable strategies and partnerships that will transform our wisdom in reality. By doing so, we will not only close the infrastructure deficit, but also build a stronger, more resilient Nigeria for generations to come.
This platform offers a unique opportunity for critical dialogue and strategic engagement on how best to mitigate the perennial challenges confronting our infrastructure and development sectors. Irrespective of prevailing economic constraints, it is imperative that the execution of infrastructure projects by both subnational and federal governments continue unabated.
The federal government says it will continue to give priority to projects that would have direct impact on the people.
It is envisaged that by 2030, the electricity required to move the AI penetration is going to be around 945 terawatt hour of electricity. While in Nigeria we are talking of bridging electricity access gap, a number of people are looking at how to triple their electricity for them to harness the new AI generation.
Since assuming office, President Tinubu has set in motion a transformative agenda to modernize Nigeria's critical infrastructure through clear policy direction, robust financing frameworks, and effective project delivery mechanisms.
The conference has at its theme closing the national infrastructure deficit and the strategic roles of consulting engineers. And now we have come to the end of the news. I am Ogochukwu Ona, and my sign language interpreter has been Shegun Ajayi. Thanks for watching.